Well, thank you very much. I welcome everybody who is on this live stream tonight. In a direct answer to your question, actually, nothing has changed. The United States Secretary of State, Mr. Anthony Blinken, came to Abuja to sacrifice religious minorities in Nigeria. He just came to appease the Nigerian regime. One could say that America is plotting her strategic posturing for a looming showdown with China in Africa, and to that effect, they need Nigeria. So to get that support, to get that Nigeria as a base for those operations, they are ready to sacrifice human rights and throw the minorities in the Middle Belt under the bus. To that effect, is appeasement. And the crazy thing about this is that this, in the long run, is not going to be in America's interest, because America will not want a Nigeria that has collapsed. A Nigeria that collapses will never offer them anything, any strategic value. And this appeasement may lead to Nigeria collapsing because everybody is angry. The minorities in the Middle Belt of Nigeria are being slaughtered by Fulani headsmen every other day. And these are Christians. The Boko Haram has not ceased. We now have another great threat, the Islamic State for West Africa. That is, and the Fulani headsmen, all these three groups are united in kidnapping people. We call them bandits across the north. The north of Nigeria is so very insecure. The whole country is groaning under the weight of insecurity. And the fundamental problem underlying this is this rise of violent jihadist movements across the Sahel, across much of West Africa. The Americans know this, so that Mr. Blinken came to Abuja to appease Buhari's regime is quite unfortunate. I don't know whether some people still learn from history. In 1938, Neville Chamberlain went to Munich to appease Adolf Hitler. At the end of it, that didn't stop the Second World War. So appeasing Buhari may not even stop Nigeria from imploding, because when Christians will arise to fight back, when anybody arises to fight back against the onslaught of Fulani headsmen, for example, come to think of it, we have 1.5 million people in Benue alone who are displaced due to the attacks of Fulani headsmen. And the violent resistance from the pro-Biafran movement in Southeast Nigeria is predicated on their anger that Fulani headsmen were allowed to slaughter and butcher people across Southeast Nigeria without the government offering any response. So no rational explanation. Even Blinken's own State Department wouldn't agree with the facts that have been setting out all these years with this assessment, with this conclusion that the secretary came to remove Nigeria from the list of religious violators. Should we talk about the Sharia in the North? Since 1999, the Sharia that they wanted to use to dislodge Obasanjo, a Christian president, Sharia is being used today to discriminate against Christians in northern Nigeria. We know the humanist Mubarak Bala, who is clamped in jail because he said, I'm no longer a Muslim. And we know the Aminu Sharif, who is in jail still at this moment. And the states in the north are becoming more authoritarian once anybody raises the issue of Christians being attacked or Christians being killed. A perfect example is Kaduna State, where El Rufai is now a demigod. Anybody who criticizes his handling of the security situation is arrested and clamped in jail. My good friend and the human rights activist, Mr. Luka Biniyat, was arrested and clamped in jail days before Secretary Blinken came to Nigeria. So I wonder why the United States would deem it fit at this time to remove Nigeria from this list of violators. Although it's quite symbolic, because that doesn't imply that Nigeria will be placed under sanctions. But even at that, it was a gross betrayal of people who are fighting for religious freedom. And this coming from a country that was founded by people running away from religious persecution is really quite appalling. It was a really sad day for human rights in Nigeria on this day that Secretary Blinken removed Nigeria from the list of religious violators.
Okay, now, in your opinion, what led to the US initial blacklisting of Nigeria, and what are the consequences of that initial blacklist?
Well, and everybody who knows anything about Nigeria, Nigerians themselves were groaning. People see that across the north of Nigeria. I was in Jos earlier this year, and all the ECWA churches, people don't attend their religious services anymore with a peace of mind. All the ECWA churches were blocked with tires because they were afraid that they were going to be bombed by some of these jihadist elements. So Nigerians have always been living in fear since 1999, since we see the increasing actions of Boko Haram, Islamic State for West Africa, and the Fulani herdsmen. So there has been religious unfreedom in the north of Nigeria. Everybody knows that. So these are some of the factors that informed Americas under the past presidency to include Nigeria as a country of particular concern in the religious freedom designation list. So these are the issues we are seeing. People are being arrested and because of their religious affiliations. In Kano State, for example, the Hisbah police has been hounding Christians, and Christians are being disenfranchised economically. People who have, who are in the hospitality business are not allowed to sell alcohol in their establishments. And most of these people are Christians in the name of Sharia. Although Nigeria's constitution states in Article 10, that Section 10, that Nigeria doesn't have a state religion. But in the north of Nigeria, Christians are being disenfranchised because they are Christians. And that shouldn't be in a country that pretends to practice democracy. So these were some of the reasons that informed the United States, including Nigeria in that list. Added to that, the terrorists have been abducting people. We have a list of abductions of Christian schools. Boko Haram has achieved its aim, which is a program in its name, which states that Boko Haram, that education is haram, is a sin. And they started kidnapping school children. And across the north today, parents are even afraid to send their kids to school. The latest being the Bethel High School, Baptist High School in Kaduna, where people were kidnapped. So parents today, so we can see some of the factors that informed America doing that. A Christian young woman who was kidnapped alongside her friends in Chibok, Leah Shuaribu, is still in the custody of Boko Haram today. Every other person was released, but because the girl said, no, I'm not going to convert to Islam, they are still holding her. So these were some of the factors. If we are talking about did it yield anything that America included Nigeria? Yeah, it yielded something that it applied serious pressure on the government of Muhammadu Buhari to try to do something. But instead of trying to ameliorate the plight of Christians in the Middle Belt who are being killed every other day, they went on lobbying Washington to remove them from the list. So they spent Nigerian resources in paying lobbyists to lobby the American government to remove Nigeria from that list. And then they attained their goals instead of ameliorating the security problems in their own country. This is what we see across many African countries. Our house is on fire and we are very busy pursuing rodents. Instead of trying to place accurate security infrastructure in place to counter the threats of terrorism, the impunity of the Fulani herdsmen, our government went abroad to spend scarce foreign resources in paying law firms in Washington to lobby for them that America will get them off the list. So it's quite appalling. So it attained something that it put pressure on them to try to do something. They didn't do what is required. Instead, they tried to bribe their way through by purchasing lobbyists to do that job for them.
Now that the US has taken this step of removing Nigeria from the blacklist, what consequences does it entail for Nigeria as a country?
Well, as a country, we will see. I can project that we will see a rise in impunity. The Fulani herdsmen, there is nothing stopping them. There is nobody there. They will neither fear God nor man this time in killing Christians, which they have been doing. Before, people used to think that once America speaks some words, that the Nigerian government will listen. But today, America came to Abuja and told the Nigerian government, hey, you are off the list. So it will go back to business as usual. The Fulani herdsmen will keep on doing their thing. Boko Haram, which we have been told so many times, has been technically defeated. There's nobody stopping them again. And then the Islamic State for West Africa, which is another major threat that we're going to be facing, is then the Hisbah police across the north will then go on a field day hounding people who are not Muslims. And then anybody who declares himself a humanist or a Christian and says, I'm not going to convert to Islam, will be at the mercy of his captors. So These are the kind of things we're saying. You know, it's a betrayal of people who are fighting for their fundamental freedoms. These freedoms being freedom of religion. Freedom of religion is one of the most fundamental freedoms human beings enjoy because it has something to do with freedom of conscience. So the effects we are going to see in the coming weeks and months, the impunity on the rise, because the Nigerian government has shown itself incapable or unwilling to stop this onslaught against Christians. So we are trying to see, we are saying that there may be a demographic displacement strategy behind what is happening in the middle belt of Nigeria. Maybe trying to kill off the natives and trying to kill off the Christians so that they can resettle Fulani headsmen in this beautiful arable plains of the Jos Plateau. So that may be a strategic plan. We don't know. But the impunity will continue. And then, well, since America has sacrificed the minorities for their strategic goals.
Now, this situation you just described is very grim and very troubling, especially for Christians. What then can Christians do to prevent this situation from occurring? This picture you just painted from occurring.
Well, what can Christians do that they have not been doing? They have been praying to their gods. They have been trying to reach out for peace. They have been trying to, even when they retaliated. We saw the problem between the Irigwe youths who were, after the Irigwe being killed in Plateau, they retaliated, and then some Muslims who were on a pilgrimage from Bauchi also lost their lives. And the Nigerian government decided that it was time to speak. But all this while that Christians and minorities were being killed in the Plateau, our president was missing in action. You know, it seems that he wasn't hearing anything. He was blind, he was deaf, he was dumb. He couldn't even stand up when his citizens were being slaughtered. He couldn't even say anything. But once Muslims became victims, our president realized that there is trouble and there is fire on the mountain, that he could speak out. You know, this is the kind of injustice that actually makes people want to retaliate. But Christians have been quite peaceful all this while. You know, I don't know what I am going to suggest to people who are facing extinction. Am I going to ask them to stay and fold their arms and keep on praying and be slaughtered? Or am I going to say, stand up for your rights because self-defense is a fundamental human right? I am not in a position to advise these people. But I am telling you that Nigerian Christians have taken a lot of shit from these terrorist organizations across the plateau. I was there, I visited there. What I saw made me shed tears. I wouldn't want to tell people, advertise my own tragedy, because I lost a sister. My elder sister was killed by Boko Haram in Kano in 2013 at the bomb blast that happened in Sabongiri. So anybody who has ever felt this in his body knows how painful it is, that you are being driven out of your homes. And then the minorities are being, a time is coming when we won't have any minorities more in the Jos Plateau, because there seems to be a systematic plan to wipe them out. And if our government couldn't stand up for these people, what do they want the people to do? Do they want the people to stand for themselves? If the people do that, when even they tried, you know, the crazy thing about this is that before attacks occur in Plateau, there were cases where the army came and took away the bows and arrows that the communities used to defend themselves. And a few days later, the Fulani headsmen struck. So would you blame the people if they finger the government in their plight? Because these were military and security operatives that come and say, weapons are not allowed. But the Fulani headsmen are armed with sophisticated weapons, killing Christians. We have not heard that they attacked any Fulani settlement or community. And the interesting thing is that they sack Christian and minority villages and rename them to Fufude or Fulani name. And nothing is being done to return these lands to their owners. And the United Nations made it clear, you cannot gain territory by conquest. But in Nigeria, in the plateau, nobody hears the cries of these people. It is until they rise up to defend themselves that the Nigerian government would now know that something is happening. It happened during Babangida's time. In 2001, there was such an uprising. And we saw that the youths of Yewa in the Jos Plateau rose up and said they're not going to take this anymore. And then that's when the government realizes, oh, okay, we can do something. So it's quite painful allowing our own fellow citizens to murder. And if you ask Buhari, he will tell you that the people doing that are not Nigerians, or that the arms that is coming into Nigeria is because of Gaddafi. How long would the president go on shirking his own responsibility? I used to think that the buck stops at the president's desk. But in the case of our president, he keeps on shifting blames. It is either Gaddafi or they are not Nigerians. If they are not Nigerians, it's your responsibility to secure Nigeria. You have the army to secure the territorial integrity of Nigeria. Why are you not doing that? So what will we tell the people that have been slaughtered? What will we tell the victims that are at the risk of extinction? So these are the kinds of things that actually makes one, you know, when some young Nigerians tell you that they're ashamed of being Nigerian, these are some of the things they point to. I don't know what to tell the Christians. I cannot tell them to lie low and be slaughtered. That would be criminally insane of me. I cannot ask them equally to bear arms to go on the attack. I can't do that in good conscience. I am a very peaceful person, but it has gotten to the point where we need to speak words, even if it's words of anger to our leaders. In the plot to the governor, well, I don't blame the governor much because the governors don't even have any power. They don't have police or military powers. It lies in Abuja. And this is the major reason why my organization has been talking about devolution of power in Nigeria. The governor should have more police and military powers to deploy forces to arrest some of these things before they happen. We should not be waiting for Abuja when the IG, and then when the man in power supports the Fulani movement, then we wouldn't have anybody defending the hapless women and children who are being killed every day in the middle belt of Nigeria. It's really appalling. And then when you see that the state apparatus is being used to terrorize governors who are courageous enough to speak out, like Governor Otom in Benue State, then you have a reason to think twice about what is happening in Nigeria. It seems to be the more we look, the less we see. So our government at the central level owes us responsibility of protecting us. The principle, the raison d'etre of every government is to protect the lives and property of our citizens. Any government that fails in this regard has no reason to exist anymore. They should throw in the towel and let other people take over responsibilities. But Nigerians, I have never seen a Nigerian president who willingly resigns because of his incompetence. But this government, I am sorry, they have not been living up to expectations of Nigerians. And for the Americans to come and give them an imprimatur this time is a canonization of appeasement. It's really appalling. I don't know what to tell the Christians, to be honest with you. But they cannot keep on folding their arms and then be slaughtered. Although Jesus told us, if you are slapped on this cheek, you give them the other. But you have to be alive to turn the other cheek, I believe. So if you are dead, you wouldn't be able to turn the other cheek. I don't know what to tell the Christians, to be honest with you.
Okay, just before I allow Mr. Elimba to take over, because I can see his hand up. Now, the United States Commission for International Religious Freedom, that's a group, and also the Christian Association of Nigeria have come out publicly to condemn the action of the US from removing Nigeria from that blacklist. Do you think that this pressure group have enough force to motivate USA to actually recount their action and put Nigeria back on the blacklist?
Well, we are dealing with the sole superpower in the world. It's not only these two groups. My organization, I've been doing the rounds. I was on Arise TV 2 days ago to speak out against that. I have been doing the rounds. We have been writing. The president of CSI International, Dr. John Aibner, sent a letter to the American Secretary of State a day before he came to Nigeria, asking him not to take all these actions, asking him to even go to visit the victims of human rights abuses in Nigeria, to meet with somebody like Luka Biniyat, who is being imprisoned in Kaduna. So we are dealing with a superpower that is hell-bent on attaining its strategic goals. And this strategic goal seems not to involve anything about human rights for Nigerians. And this is the kind of paternalism that students of post-colonial studies have been arguing against. You know, the speech that Mr. Blinken made in Abuja to the ECOWAS heads of state, he said all the right things, all the right platitudes, that they are not going to be speaking down on Nigeria, on Africans. It's just it's just like, you know, a guy wooing a woman and then telling him that he's the best candidate instead of the other guy. The Chinese know that they are the ones being referred to. It's not that they're not realizing where the hopes and aspirations of Nigerians, ordinary Nigerians, lie, and then leaving that to appease the government. It's really how, I don't know how to put it. It's really you know, a mismatch. So these organizations are dealing with a superpower, and they don't have, we can only use moral suasion We can only try to lobby. Everybody who is in this is a lobbying movement. We can only try that. But whether it will move America, one thing Nigerians should realize is that America's foreign policy never changes, scarcely changes, no matter who is in the White House, no matter the party in power. America's foreign policy is about America's strategic interest. It's about their interest. It's not about the interests of Nigerians. If Nigeria's interests intersect with that, good. If it does not, America goes on ahead to attain her interest. So America's interest right now is its showdown with China. China is the main interest. China is the one they are talking to using that platform that Abuja offered them. So Nigerians, if human rights was going to stand in that way, they are going to remove human rights by the side. Secretary Blinken didn't even, he didn't mention the word human rights many times during his speech. So that shows you that that's not their primary concern. They have another primary concern, which is securing for themselves whatever their strategic goals are. So these groups cannot even, unless they have strong lobbies in Washington, they cannot even move the American government once that decision is made to sacrifice and appease the government to attain its goals. So I don't know, we'll keep on trying, but that doesn't mean we should give up. We should keep on telling the governments of the United States and then holding the feet of the Nigerian government to the fire until it does right by its own people. So that's our job. We are not giving up. We will keep on doing that job and then making sure that the whole world hears us. There is an Igbo proverb. I am Igbo, by the way. And it says that the mother hen is crying not because that it wants the eagle to release its chick that is just carried, but so that the world will hear her voice. So we will keep on screaming until the world hears us. We are not going to let up. This is a very wrong decision. This is a very wrong move. And we will keep on criticizing it.
All right, remember that you can join this conversation simply by raising up your digital hand. We'll try as much as possible to accommodate as much questions and comments as possible. Now, we're still talking about the recent US removal of Nigeria from the Religious Freedom Blacklist. And I saw Mr. Elumba hand up. Mr. Elumba.
Yes, I want to ask a question. Do we have raw data of the killing of Christians in northern Nigeria and the killings where they exist? Are there evidence of a systemic killing on the part of the government, or are those Christians being killed as a result of the terrorist activities that are affecting everyone in northern Nigeria, whether they are Christians or Muslims?
Okay, thank you, Daniel. Have you finished? Hello? Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Okay, great. Well, so many organizations have compiled the data. In fact, Christian Solidarity International, my organization, is in the process of trying to upload the data on our website, the data we compiled for Plateau and Southern and Kaduna State, not everywhere in the north. There are other organizations like Inter-Society that have tried there are so many numbers being bandied about. So many other organizations have numbers, and this one could just lay his hands on if one Googles that. But we have to know, in Nigeria, most recently, Fulani militia killed 31 Christians in 2 villages on 26 September and abducted dozens of Christians from a worship service on the 31st of October. You can tell me if this is only geared towards Christians, how many Muslims have Fulani militia abducted in the whole of northern Nigeria? I am ready to be educated in this regard. How many Muslims have Fulani headsmen abducted from a mosque, from a worship center on a Friday across northern Nigeria? Like I said earlier, in Benue State, we have 1.5 million people who are displaced due to the onslaught of the Fulani headsmen. So there are a lot of data flying around. One could just get to this data once one Googles. But the fundamental thing is, yes, there is terrorist attack all over northern Nigeria. Yes, there are instabilities all over, but when did they start? In 1999, 12 northern governors rose up and introduced Sharia in their states. And what does Sharia mean? Sharia is already discriminatory against anybody who is not Muslim. So that means in one swoop, Christians were made second-class citizens in their own country. Many northerners who are Christians were being discriminated against. And then when Boko Haram came, yes, many Muslims are moderate Muslims. And nobody is here painting Islam bad as a religion. Many Muslims have been victims of Boko Haram in Maiduguri, in the northeast of Nigeria. That's what we know. But there seems to be a systematic strategy to wipe off Christians from northern Nigeria. I will give you an example. I will give you the reasons why I say this. In 2013, Boko Haram came out and issued a 3-day ultimatum telling all Christians to leave northern Nigeria or face the consequences. What did the Nigerian government do to that? And shortly after that, there was a bomb blast in Madala in Niger State, killing on Christmas Day, killing Christians who were coming out of their churches after a Christmas mass. So, and then that we are seeing a kind of ethnic cleansing, religious cleansing in the middle belt of Nigeria. And the Nigerian government seems to be unwilling to stop this. That leads any rational human person to the conclusion that the government doesn't want either it doesn't want this to stop, or it is incapable of doing anything to stop it. So if the government is incapable, what should that government do? It should resign and let people who are capable take over the affairs of state and tries to give people a new lease of life. So yeah, we can say they are all of the above. Terrorism is the Islamic jihadist movements are all over the Sahel. We are saying that all over West Africa at the moment, from Mali, and we are now equally saying it seems there are caliphate aspirations of taking over Africa for violent Islam. And the crazy thing is that these guys, these violent jihadists, are even killing moderate Muslims and other Muslims who don't believe in that kind of diseased version of Islam. So we are equally standing for the fundamental human rights of those Muslims, not only Christians. So these are the kind of things we are calling. Only our government has the power to stop this. Why is it not stopping it? That's what we are saying. Why is it not stopping it? If it's not in cahoots with these people, if the government is not, maintaining a conspiratorial silence so that these people will finish the job that they have for them. And then you can imagine when Buhari came to power, many Nigerians are complaining that the reasons for the agitations across much of Nigeria today is because President Buhari peopled all the security apparatus of state with northern Muslims, and they have not been able to tackle this issue. We will remember that while Goodluck Jonathan was president, it's not everything that he did that was good, but the war against Boko Haram was being won when he hired South African mercenaries. And what happened? Buhari himself came out to say that any attack on Boko Haram was an attack on the North. All these were in the papers. So this is what leads a lot of people to the conclusion that either our president is actively or tacitly supporting the killing of Christians and religious minorities in the North, or he is incapable of doing anything to that effect.
Mr. Elumba, your hand is still up.
All right. I want to ask one other question. Is there a difference between placing Nigeria on the watch list and placing Nigeria on the black list of this Christian persecution? Because there seems to be, someone told me that Nigeria was not removed from the black list, but was only removed from the watch list. Is there a difference between the two?
No, this difference may be a difference of semantics. I don't know about it. What I know is that there is a religious freedom designation of the United States State Department. This is where countries are being put in that America feels are countries of particular concern who are violating religious freedoms of her citizens or other minorities in their countries. So this is the list where Nigeria was placed under Trump's administration. Trump administration didn't do that because they loved Christians in Nigeria. They were just doing that because they were under a lot of pressure from the American evangelicals, which was good for Nigerian religious minorities as well. And we applauded that because it cast the searchlight on what is on the goings on in Nigeria at that point. And this situation is still there. So for the Biden administration to come and remove that in pursuance of Americans' foreign policy interests, it doesn't all go well for these minorities in the middle belt of Nigeria who have no hope that the Nigerian government will be there for them when they are being killed by Fulani herdsmen, for example, or the ordinary Christian wine seller in Kano, whose stock is being destroyed by the Hizbah because he's selling alcohol. Although the VAT, value-added tax that is derived from alcohol, is being shared among the states, even the Sharia states. They forbid the sale of alcohol, but the alcohol that is being sold in the South is being shared among all the component or federating states in Nigeria. So this is the kind of equity issue that many Nigerians are no longer comfortable with, and we can hear them when they are agitating. Many people want to leave because they cannot understand that in such a union, other people will be profiting at their own expense. So these are issues that we have to do. So I don't know about the semantics about that, but there is only one list that the United States uses for religious freedom violators, and that is the religious freedom designation from the United States Department.
Okay, let me ask one more question before I give way to some others, please, if you don't mind. I am aware that when President Donald Trump placed Nigeria on that watch list, the Lower Niger Congress, then led by Tony Nnadi, was very instrumental to having Nigeria placed on that watch list. He was there in Washington campaigning, meeting many congressional congressmen to mount that pressure along with those US evangelicals. Now, could it be that the campaigners took their eyes off the ball? And that was why under President Biden, the decision was reversed? Or could it be that the Americans have updated information, maybe suggesting that the situation have somehow changed? Which one are these two factors? How did they play out? Which one will you pick as being instrumental, or is it just because Nigerian government paid lobbyists, like you said, to reverse it? I asked this question because the press statement, there was an article we published on NewsBand, written by Garba, the presidential.
I read that. Garba Mohammed.
Yeah, whereby he was blaming IPOB, said that Americans acted on disinformation from IPOB. So which means that even the federal government, either he's being mischievous or they were not aware of the people who actually made that happen, that it wasn't IPOB at all. So how is this playing out in your mind?
Okay, thank you very much. Well, what I'm going to say is what I know. I am not going to speculate. First of all, I wish to say and state it, but without any fear of contradiction, that sometimes those people around the Nigerian presidents who act as media spokespeople are simply clowns, okay? For him to come out to say he's just trying to lump IPOB. For IPOB, I don't have any love lost there's no love lost between IPOB and myself, but the truth remains, IPOB has nothing to do with America classifying Nigeria as a country of particular interest in its religious freedom designation. IPOB has no lobby that got to that level. It's not only the Lower Niger Congress. A lot of organizations, my organization included, have been lobbying the United States for years. And we have a lot of clout to include Nigeria in this list. So Garba Mohammed trying to point to IPOB, he has his own agenda to that effect. The IPOB has been exonerated even by the recent reports released by the Lagos State NSAS committee. So before, the government was saying IPOB was the ones that hijacked so I don't know, they are trying to set IPOB up as their Man Friday, so that they, when you want to destroy a dog, you just give it a bad name. That's what I think the government is doing in this regard. But the point is, a lot of different organizations, every human rights organization, what's its name, that looked at Nigeria, that had people in Nigeria, knew that religious freedom is being stifled in Nigeria. Christians couldn't breathe free air anymore across the north of Nigeria. These are fundamental. Every day, the news coming out of the north of Nigeria is of killings, is of abductions, is of Christians not being able to obtain permits to build or renovate their churches, of Hizbah destroying people's goods and wares because they believe that it goes against the principles of Islam. But this was not the case prior to 1999. So people saw from 1999 onwards an increasing stifling of religious freedom across the north of Nigeria. So these were the reasons why a lot of organizations started sounding the alarm. Christian Solidarity International opened up a new website, Nigeria Report, dedicated only to Nigeria, because we fight for religious freedom and fundamental human rights. Anybody who is interested can visit that website and you will see what we have been recording about what is happening in Nigeria. So it is not, when was IPOB came into being in 2012? So when did IPOB doesn't have the financial muscle or the influence to influence the American government to do anything. Maybe they are just playing to the gallery just to keep their members in check or keep them entertained by saying that they don't have that reach. Tony Nnadi is my good friend. He has been doing a great job with the Lower Niger Congress now with what he's doing. But the point is there are sundry organizations that are united against people who are violators of religious freedom across the world. My organization, Christian Solidarity International, included. We have even the Amnesty International reports about religious freedom, decline in Nigeria there as well. So it's not only one party; it's myriads of organizations who, in fact, in August this year, 40 organizations under the International Religious Roundtable sent a letter to Secretary Blinken asking him not to remove Nigeria from the list in September, because we saw this coming. My president, Dr. John Eibner, signed that document on behalf of Christian Solidarity International with Baroness Cox from the UK. So we have a lot of heavyweights who signed that document. But the American government, because it's about their interest, it's not about what IPOB said or IPOB didn't. IPOB is just a radio paper tiger. Then what the Nigerian government is doing, Nigerian government is what is giving IPOB the relevance that that it has today. Because if you are maltreating the people, if you are being unjust and unfair to the people, you cannot ask the people not to revolt. So that's what is happening. So there are a lot of organizations who are fighting for human rights organizations everywhere, are seeing that the news coming out of Nigeria has not been wonderful in relation to religious freedom. And then they rose to the task, and then we are able to get the American government under Donald Trump then to include Nigeria in that list, to shine the searchlight on what is happening, and then to be a hope and a beacon of hope for Christians who are being persecuted. So IPOB or no IPOB, IPOB has nothing to do with whether America includes or removes Nigeria. America is pursuing her strategic interests in Africa this time. And these strategic interests is they are afraid that the Chinese have taken over almost everywhere, that the Africans are now leaning more towards the Chinese. And they are coming now to tell us, look at what we have to offer you. Look at what we do. We are going to do that with values, but we're not going to talk loud about human rights right now. So just, but it's about trade. And Africa is the continent of the future. In 2050, Nigeria will be more than 400 million people. Okay, so this is a great research. Everybody who knows anything is now cutting Nigeria and cutting the African continent. So America is coming into her own to see that as well. So it's not even about whether Trump did it or Biden did it. Even if it was Trump, they will come to this point of removing Nigeria because they needed Nigeria this time. So that's what the situation is all about.
All right, let us listen to Mazi Okoye. Mazi Okoye, your hand is up. Mazi Okoye, I have asked you to unmute.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Augusta. I've just been unmuted. Thank you. My question is, do we have a reference point in terms of data before this government of Buhari came to power? The other question is one thing to write letters to these Western governments, asking them to do so and so. However, you know, these governments, their decisions are driven by solid data. And that is something that we cannot produce. There is no data with regards to all this charge or all these claims against Nigerian government. Where is the hard data that one can produce and say, okay, this is this, verifiable data? That is not there. No matter how serious about your claims or how emotional you feel about it, without data and a reference point, Western governments are simply going to act the way they are acting now.
Okay, can I come in now? Can I answer your question?
Please come in.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that you are correct in that regard. There are solid data backing all this up. And if you could, like I said, you could meet me or whatever, I could just, Inter-Society, an organization in Nigeria, has been producing data about the number of Christians killed almost every week. These data, and they culled all this from newspaper reports, radio reports, from Nigerian media houses. The Americans have the same data. Even the American State Department's data on religious freedom in Nigeria was the basis. If you said that Western government used data, that was the basis for Trump, including Nigeria, into this list. So removal of Nigeria, the data has not changed much from last year. You get the point. So if the data has not changed much, why? So any rational computation of the why will let you know Americans' interest. They have now seen that their greatest threat now is China. China is the one Americans are talking to. China is the very next great battle they are facing. See, everything Biden is doing in office today is directed towards China. He spoke with Chinese president a few days ago and asking, we are going to set up guardrails so that we don't derail, we don't end up fighting each other. But that's going to be the beginning of the new Cold War if care is not taken. So everybody's now trying to lodge his forces, both economic, both social, and then gain influence with countries that they know are going to be the strategic theaters to that effect. So there are data, overwhelming data. Go to CIA facts, go to the American State Department themselves, go to USIRF, in the United States Institute for Religious Freedom. They have this data. These are the reasons why the American government deemed it fit to include Nigeria in this list in the initial stance. So we cannot make the claim that there is no data. There are a lot of data. Like I told you initially, my organization is in the process of trying to verify all the data we have and then upload it to our website. You can go to the nigerianreports.org. That is from the Christian Solidarity International. And then in a few days, you will see a lot of them up and running. But scattered across, even Amnesty International has enough data to that effect. So there are data scattered everywhere. We are not making these claims because we don't have data. We are just making these claims because these are facts that are coming out of Nigeria every other day. So that Nigeria ignores even her own data is why we are angry. Can you tell the people in Norway how many people were killed by Fulani herdsmen in the plateau? This happens almost every other day, and the communities are documented. There are members that are killed and being buried in mass graves. We saw that in southern Kaduna almost every other day. Were they happening in mass, or can somebody say they didn't happen? The government or the people killed by the NSAS soldiers, the government tried to, manipulate the crime scene to make it look like nothing happened. But today, the evidence is overwhelming. So we have data to that effect. People are not sleeping. I'm resident. I'm working in Switzerland, so we don't just talk because we love talking or being emotional about issues. Without facts and data, you cannot even talk about any government, because like you asked rightly now, where is the data? I will supply you with the data. My organization, once we are able to go through all the data we've collected and then collaborated them, we will just send them out for the public to see. But these are singular data that are happening every day that communities have been collecting, and we have been reading in the press as well. So data is...
Okay, one more question. We know that generally violence and bloodshed has scaled since this administration came into power.
Sorry, violence has done what? I didn't quite get the last one.
Has scaled, like has escalated.
Yeah.
Has scaled. Do we know, or do we have an analysis of how many Christians were killed during Jonathan's regime or administration compared to the Buhari administration? Or does this just start when Buhari came to power, this killing of Christians? Does this started when Buhari came to power, or was this also a problem during Goodluck's administration? Because if we cannot properly, compare them and analyze them, some people will be thinking, especially people in the West, might be looking at it from a political lens.
Okay.
That all these are politically motivated. Okay. So we have to be able to, have the data regards to, okay, what is happening during Goodluck's time administration and during Buhari's administration. But
okay. I got you, my brother. I got the question. I got the crux of your question. The issue is Buhari didn't start Boko Haram. Buhari came to power out on the back of this when Goodluck Jonathan was failing to arrest the situation. Goodluck Jonathan was harshly criticized by everybody in the know, myself included, about his handling of Boko Haram. Killing of Christians didn't start with him. Okay, it started 1953 when Christians were killed in Kano. We saw the Maitasine riot in 1982 when President Shagari was in power, and Shagari rose up to the occasion. Boko Haram started under President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, who sent the police to kill Mohammed Yusuf, the founder of Boko Haram. So this didn't start. Nigeria has had a history of religious persecution in the north of Nigeria. 1953 in Kano, Maitasine riots in Ibadan and all the rest of the north in 1982. Boko Haram, when it started in Borno, that Yar'Adua sent the army, and the police extrajudicially killed Mohammed Yusuf. So, and Goodluck Jonathan inherited that. Goodluck Jonathan initially wasn't able to handle the constant bombings and the constant killing of Christians, the kidnappings and all that. Goodluck Jonathan lost the election basically based on Chibok, because Chibok girls were kidnapped. The government played dumb as if they knew that nothing happened. So Goodluck Jonathan at the point started believing that members of his government were the ones that planned the kidnap of Chibok girls. And that was when he said publicly that members of Boko Haram are in his government. These are recorded, these are in the Nigerian press. So it didn't start with Buhari. We are not criticizing Buhari as a person. We are criticizing the failure, the systematic failure of the Nigerian government to protect her own citizens. It's not a political thing. Reducing it to a comparison between Buhari and Jonathan is too banal. My interest, my major concern is the life and property of the average Nigerian, be he a Christian, be he a Muslim, be he an atheist. He has a fundamental human right to live out and practice his religion without fear. And it's the responsibility of government to grant him that environment to do that. So where a government fails, we raise up our voice and criticize it, because the government is our servant. They are not our masters. So if Buhari cannot do his job, he should get out of office. That's what we are saying. So reducing the discussion to what's happened during Goodluck Jonathan, but we know Sharia as a movement started under Obasanjo. What did Obasanjo do? He did nothing. He said it's a political movement. Even the former emir of Kano, Mohammed Sanusi, confirmed that it was, Sanusi didn't support that. It was a political movement. So we cannot say, because Goodluck Jonathan is a Christian. He said he's a Christian. I don't know whether he's a Christian. Buhari is a Muslim. But is it not interesting that Boko Haram nominated Buhari to be their go-between between him and between Nigerian government and Boko Haram? This makes any rational person to think. So the issue is that the Nigerian government is failing to protect her citizens. And it's its primary and statutory responsibility to do that. Where a government fails, that government should throw in the towel or get out of the way so that the people that can manage the issues will now get up to manage it. As at now, Christians are bleeding in the middle belt of Nigeria. Christians are bleeding in Benue Basin. Not only Christians, Muslims too are being killed by these bomb attacks. Atheists are being clamped in prison because they say they are no longer Muslims. I gave you an example of Mubarak Bala, and I give you another example of the musician who was convicted in Kano. Why should this be a case in a country that Section 10 of its constitution says that Nigeria doesn't have a state religion? So these are questions, fundamental questions that Nigerians should ask and then rise up to the occasion. If we politicize this, then we will not be better than those who sacrificed the lives and aspirations of Nigerian minorities and Christians at the altar of strategic interests.
All right, I can see Paul Gadzama hand up. This should be our last contributor before we round up the program because we are almost at our time limit. Paul.
Yes, thank you for giving me this opportunity to comment. If we are not careful, Nigeria may be facing, or northern Nigeria may be facing, a Taliban-style takeover very soon in the future, because the famous statement by General T.Y. Danjuma has been playing out since the military are colluding with the terrorists. These people are not necessarily just terrorists. It's a political movement. And I thank our brother for pointing out the various issues involved. We can see in recent times, especially in the Northeast, where the stories don't really come out to the public adequately, they are amassing lots of armament.
Weapons, yeah.
And I have spoken recently with a couple of some people that are on ground there, including soldiers that are in the forefront. These so-called Boko Haram have what do they call this? Armored tank with tracking, with the chain tracking. They have them, and from time to time, the Air Force does succeed in taking off those armored tanks. The question is, where do they get those armored tanks from? Armored tanks. And this soldier told me that when they start coming, they all have to run. There is no obstacle you will put on the way that they will not run over. The recent one that happened in Askra, for example, they came with that armored tank with 3 other armored personnel carriers. And everybody had, the soldiers were the ones that ran into town and said people should run out. That is just maybe a small rehearsal of what is coming in the future, because they are arming and arming. Now, that's one side of the story. In terms of the political movement we are talking about, we need to understand that Islam and politics are one. You can't separate the two. And that was the biggest mistake Obasanjo made, to say that Sharia is just a political thing and it will fade away. Mm-hmm. It will fade away. That was a big mistake. It's not so. They have solidified right now. And I believe the Boko Haram, the so-called bandits, which is really another military in the country, in the northern part of the country, the Fulani militia, and all those movements are all one. And the target is 2023. This northern oligarchy will never release power to Christian or to the South, whatever is the case. So they have this as a backup plan that if they are being forced that they have to release power, they will unleash these forces. Yes, it's true that Boko Haram started under Eradua and intensified under Jonathan, but because of his inexperience and naivety and appeasement policies, he didn't understand that Boko Haram was an ANPP strategy to bring down his government. And they did that. They have succeeded, and they are intensifying and solidifying their position. In terms of the Christians in the Northeast, they have already been overrun, so you don't even hear about the atrocities that is being committed against them. The recent one that would have given an international headline that we could have built on is the bulldozing of a church in Maiduguri by a government agency, whereby the son of the pastor was killed in that process. And that was not heard of in the international media, but that one would have been a singular story to build on, so that really there is even an official open persecution, violent persecution of Christians by government, not just only these militia groups. But alas, that didn't happen, because part of the problem we are also facing is the Stockholm syndrome, in which the Christians in these areas have aligned themselves with the enemy and are either quiet or defensive of the Buhari regime and his cohorts. And because of that, you don't hear much. So if we are going to have any success, one of the challenges we'll have to face is, how do we get the people that have been engulfed by this Stockholm syndrome and the saboteurs that have joined forces, have joined the Buhari and this government. For example, look at Kaduna. Who is the spokesperson who defends the government on a day-to-day basis when these atrocities are committed? It's Samuel Arum.
Yeah.
And he is a Christian from southern Kaduna. So we have that internal challenge. Then thank you very much also for giving us deep insight into the American interests as against the Chinese taking over of Africa. True. America doesn't bother about Nigeria or anybody. America's interest is America. And they are getting it wrong, as you have already explained in your presentation. Is an uphill task to get the American government to change course. Our main hope now is international human rights organizations, such as your own, sir, and there are numerous others in Europe and America. The challenge before you, sir, is how you can network with this organization, join forces, and really escalate a serious pointer to the atrocities that are being committed in Nigeria. Otherwise, we cannot rely on the American government, because they always have their interests. Even during the time of Trump just did something that is even outside the system, or outside the way they operate, whether it is the conservative or Democrat, is their interest in their interests. Trump went to the other extreme as a conservative, or he's trying to win the conservatives by focusing on Christian values and Christian issues. So we need more serious lobbying, again, back to Washington, to London, to these places, Switzerland, and do a lot of lobbying so that the light will beam on this evil government, because one of their biggest challenges, what the Islamic and especially the Buhari government hates, is publicity on the atrocities they commit. They are ready to spend any amount to make sure that nobody hears about what they are doing. Now that they seem to be celebrating what America has done, the persecution is going to increase because they will be doing it under the radar and possibly bring in a Taliban-style takeover towards the end of 23 when they see that they are losing. So I pray God help us